All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating and honestly incredibly high stakes cat and mouse game going on between digital privacy tools and the advanced tracking methods used by law enforcement. Now, if you've ever found yourself wondering how supposedly anonymous actors on the internet actually get caught, or, how truly private your own digital footprint really is, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to look strictly at the verified, technical methods used in real-world investigations, and we're going to systematically break down exactly how they work. Take a look at this quote right here. The technical anonymity tools held up, the human behavior failed. I mean, wow. This powerful observation from our source material just perfectly frames what we're unpacking today. You see, a lot of times the encryption doesn't break, we do. So throughout this explainer, we'll be exploring both the highly technical methods investigators use to bypass anonymity and those incredibly simple, almost head-slapping behavioral missteps that compromise everything. And more importantly, we're going to cover the specific defenses you can actually use against each one of them. Okay, let's jump right into our structured breakdown. We're going to cover 5 major vulnerabilities today: hidden VPN logs, direct browser exploits, Tor traffic correlation, unique browser fingerprints, and finally, the ultimate operational security mistake. Starting us off with Section 1, hidden VPN logs and the illusion of complete anonymity. Now, this is where things get really interesting, because the very tool designed to hide your activity, it might actually be the exact thing recording it. There is just this stark contrast between standard VPN marketing and reality. I mean, most people pay for a VPN believing those bold claims splashed across the homepage, right? Words like zero logs or no tracking. But here's the reality check. Most major VPN providers keep what are called connection logs. And even if they don't know exactly what websites you visited, these connection logs include the exact time you connected, the real IP address you connected from, and the total amount of data you transferred. So when authorities issue a subpoena, they don't even need your browsing history. They just cross-reference these connection timestamps against the activity they're investigating. Boom, gotcha. And listen, this is far from theoretical. Just look at this case from 2017 involving PureVPN. Despite having identical no logs marketing at the time, PureVPN actually handed over connection logs to the FBI. And those logs, they directly led to a 17-year federal sentence for a cyberstalker. The investigators used this brilliantly simple piece of logic. 2 ends, 1 user. Think about it. If a crime happens online at exactly 2:04 a.m. and the VPN logs show you connected to that exact VPN server at exactly 2:04 a.m., well, it's just simple math for the investigators at that point. So what does this mean for you? Well, the crucial point here is your defense. You have to remember that most VPN companies have never actually been legally tested in court. So before you trust any provider, you literally need to verify 3 things. First off, they absolutely must have an independent security audit from a reputable firm, ideally done within the last 2 years. Second, look for a published transparency report that details exactly how they respond to government requests. And third, jurisdiction really matters. US-based providers are subject to US legal compulsion. So you want providers based in jurisdictions with strong legal protections, places like Switzerland, Sweden, or Panama. Services like Mullvad, iVPN, or Proton VPN have actually been court-tested and proven to keep no usable logs. Moving on to Section 2, direct browser exploits, or bypassing the network entirely. Because here's the thing, even if your VPN is completely bulletproof, investigators still have a workaround. They can completely bypass your network encryption by targeting your computer directly. They use this highly effective tool known as a network investigative technique, or a NIT. You see, your VPN and Tor, they protect your network traffic, but they cannot protect you from malicious code that runs directly inside your machine. What investigators will do is host or compromise a website. When a suspect visits, that malicious code executes right inside their browser. It doesn't even try to read the encrypted network traffic. Instead, it reaches right down into the operating system, grabs your real IP address, and sends it straight back to law enforcement. A massive real-world example of this was the FBI's Playpen operation. They ran a dark web forum from a server in Virginia for 13 days, and in less than 2 weeks, over 1,300 Tor users were de-anonymized using a NIT. Just incredible. Now, a NIT is absolutely devastating, mostly because of the localized data it captures right from your machine. It is not just your real IP address. It grabs your MAC address, which, if you don't know, is the unique hardware identifier of your physical computer. It grabs your operating system username, the exact time on your system clock, and your OS version. When you put all that together, this localized data is more than enough to identify a user with near absolute certainty. There's really nowhere to hide. But here is the totally fascinating thing about NITs. They almost exclusively exploit known, outdated vulnerabilities. Those victims in the playpen operation, they were caught simply because they were running older, unpatched versions of the Tor browser. So your defense against this super advanced technique is actually surprisingly mundane. Just immediately update your browser and your operating system. You've got to make it a strict habit to enable automatic updates so you are patched the exact same day those developers release fixes. Seriously, don't ignore those update prompts. Let's move into Section 3, Tor traffic correlation and watching the tunnel. Okay, to really understand correlation, I want you to imagine this. If a red car enters a tunnel at 2:15 a.m., and then a red car of the exact same size exits the other side exactly 600 milliseconds later, is it the same car? Probably, right? This red car analogy perfectly explains how investigators use timing and volume data. Tor routes your traffic through these layers of encryption, that's our tunnel. The encryption itself hasn't been broken. Instead, investigators are just sitting there watching the entrance and the exit of the Tor network, so they can correlate anonymous activity back to a real user. So naturally, the larger and rarer your activity is on the network, the easier it is to spot those matching red cars. Casual browsing on, say, standard text pages is incredibly hard to track because it just blends right in with thousands of other users. But uploading a massive 5 GB file at 3 a.m., yeah, that creates a very obvious, easily trackable spike in network traffic at both the entry points and the exit points. This kind of wide-scale network observation is exactly the tactic suspected to have been used in the 2014 Operation Anonymous, which actually resulted in the coordinated takedown of over 400 dark websites. So the crucial question is how you defeat traffic correlation, which, I'll be honest, is actually the hardest method to fully defend against. You have to actively try to blend in. First, avoid time-sensitive requests over Tor. Second, never, and I mean never, be the only Tor user on a private network. If you're the only person on your office Wi-Fi using Tor at 3 a.m., you stick out like a sore thumb. Instead, use Tor on public Wi-Fi networks, at large coffee shops or libraries, places where your traffic just beautifully blends into a crowd. And finally, you have to accept realistic limits. Against a highly determined nation-state adversary with massive network visibility, perfect anonymity is just incredibly difficult to maintain. All right, on to Section 4, Unique Browser Fingerprints, identifying you without an IP. Now, this method often surprises people the most because it proves that investigators don't even need your IP address to track you across the web. Every single time you load a website, your browser willingly and automatically hands over this highly specific combination of technical ingredients. We're talking your exact browser build number, your specific operating system details, your exact screen monitor dimensions, and get this, even a complete list of every single font installed on your system. It sounds crazy, but this isn't hacking. This is literally just how the web works. But when you put it all together, these data points create a signature that is completely unique to your exact device. Just to give you a real sense of scale here, according to the Electronic Frontier Foundation's Cover Your Tracks tool, the average person's browser fingerprint scores in the top 1% of uniqueness. Let that sink in. This means that among millions and millions of users, your specific setup is trivially identifiable. If you visit a website using your real identity and then later visit a totally different website through Tor or a VPN, but your browser fingerprint matches between the two, well, you have just linked your anonymous activities straight back to your real identity. Game over. So your defense here is entirely about conformity. The primary protection of the Tor browser isn't actually its IP routing, it's fingerprint flattening. It literally makes every user look identical. But, and this is a huge but, that only works if you never customize it. Do not install extensions, do not change the settings, and honestly, do not even drag the window to resize it. Every single customization you make turns you into a unique, trackable user all over again. For your normal daily browsing outside of Tor, make sure you use privacy-focused browsers like Firefox or Brave, and definitely make sure to enable their built-in fingerprint resistance features. And finally, we reach Section 5, the ultimate OPSEC mistake, identity reuse. This is the big one, guys, the most critical vulnerability of all, and it has absolutely nothing to do with code. This single human error identifies more suspects than all the advanced technical methods we have discussed today combined. Investigators reliably follow a very simple step-by-step trail. Step 1, they look for a single shared identifier, maybe a username, a specific handle, or a burner email address. Step 2, they take that identifier and run it through public databases, archived forum posts, and giant datasets of breached information. And Step 3, they find where that target used the same handle on an anonymous account and a personal one. Boom. They trace a permanent link straight back to a real, legal identity. And hey, if you think this only catches the amateurs, think again. Historic massive investigations consistently hinge on this exact human error. Ross Ulbricht, the guy who ran the Silk Road, was partly identified simply because he reused the username Altoid on a public forum years before launching the dark market. Jeremy Hammond reused password from his public social activism days right on his hacker infrastructure. And Eldo Kim, he sent a bomb threat via Tor to delay an exam and was caught just because he was the sole person on Harvard's Wi-Fi network using Tor at that exact critical moment. Like we said earlier, the tools worked, the human failed. As we wrap up this explainer and our deep dive into digital tracking, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to ponder. If the strongest encryption in the world can't protect us from our own digital habits, our reused passwords, or our outdated browsers, is true anonymity online actually possible? Or is it just a comforting illusion we choose to believe? Understanding these tools is half the battle for sure, but understanding your own behaviors is what actually keeps you secure. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and stay safe out there.